Hi, welcome back to Happy Apple Core Homestead. Today is part 3 of how to make blackberry wine. Today our main task is to take the wine in this carboy and put it into that one so that it can clear. This wine has been fermenting away for 5 months. It took a little bit longer than I originally expected, but that's okay. It is time to get it off the lees, which is all of the dead yeast at the bottom. I don't think you can see that. I think you can only see like part of this carboy here. But in any event, there's a big thick layer of dead yeast on the bottom, which over time can impact the flavor of your wine. So we want to get it over into that other carboy and just let any of the other additional particles fall to the bottom before we bottle the wine. I'll probably leave it in that carboy for another couple of months, where then I will take you to part 4, bottling, which is my favorite part, especially since I have a brand new piece of equipment that I cannot wait to show you. So make sure to subscribe to my channel so that you can get notifications for part 4 when it comes out. I really am excited to show it to you. Here in front of me are all of the tools that we're going to need to accomplish this task. I have a clean bucket, a new carboy, I have a measuring cup, I have my hydrometer. There's a couple of measuring spoons here for the potassium sorbate as well as the sugar. I've got a spoon to stir the sugar if we decide that we're going to use it. I don't know if we will or not yet, but we'll taste it to find out, which of course is why we have a wine glass. I also have a wine thief and an auto siphon with the tubing that goes with it. I will show you step by step how to use all of these things. Of course, as I always say, these things have been sanitized already. I use Easy Clean, but there's lots of other types out there that you can use. Let me know down in the comments if you need links to any of the equipment that I'm using today. Oh, and I have a new airlock. So there's an airlock already on this one, but I'm gonna switch it out to one that's already been sanitized so I don't have to, worry about any like little flies or whatever getting in once we transfer this over. I am going to be transferring this wine into this bucket before we put it into the carboy for 2 reasons. One is it's way easier to stir the sugar if we decide to back sweeten it. And 2, I want to make sure that I don't get any of the debris from the bottom of this carboy into this one. And it just helps me feel more confident, I guess. Most people, I don't know if it's most people, but I think a lot of people just rack right into their next carboy as long as they don't need to back sweeten it or anything like that. But this is just how I do it. You can do it either which way you want. And with that said, let's hop right in. I'm gonna take you a little bit closer so you can see exactly what I'm doing. I have my carboy here on my counter and my big giant bucket down here. It's sitting on a bar stool and you just want it a little bit below the height of your carboy so that gravity for the auto siphon works the best. But before we even get that far, we're gonna take the airlock out and we're gonna check the gravity reading with the hydrometer. Okay, here is the wine thief, and here is the hydrometer. When you're using it, you wanna have the heavy end pointed down, and we're going to spin it like so. But first, let's get some wine in the wine thief. Okay, we're gonna hold this over the bucket so we don't make a mess. And we're gonna spin that hydrometer. And we're just gonna make sure that the fermentation is complete. And it is. If you can see here, it is at the 0, and that's where we want it to be. Let's put this wine in here so we can give it a taste. It's pretty astringent at the moment, so I am going to back sweeten it. Over time, that sharp flavor will mellow out quite a bit, but I think sugar is gonna make all the difference. The next step is we're gonna go ahead and put the rest of the wine from here into the bucket and we'll work on the back sweetening. Here is our auto siphon along with the tubing. The plastic end goes into the top and slides right down. just like that. And this tube here goes right into the bucket, and this end goes into the carboy. Because there's such a large amount of debris on the bottom, I'm going to probably hold this up as it empties. But in order to get your auto siphon going, you just want to pump up and down a couple of times, just like that. And it will automatically start flowing the wine into the bucket. Alright, the auto siphon was starting to suck the debris off the bottom, so that's good enough for now. We'll just set this right here in the bucket. We're going to cover it up while we clean out this carboy. Highly recommend that you clean it as soon as it is basically empty, because if you let it sit and dry, you will be a sad, sad puppy. There's the inside view. And you can see there's hardly any wine left in the carboy. Now that my carboy is clean and set to dry, it's time to get the sugar solution ready for the wine in the bucket. I suggest that you go slow. Typically when you're back sweetening, the general rule is like 1/4 of a pound per gallon. I'm just gonna do 1 cup for now, and we'll taste it, we'll dissolve it in, we'll taste it, see how it goes, and I may add 1 more cup after that. You do want to do a water solution. I have 1/2 cup of water in here. It's a little bit warm just to help it dissolve. So 1 part water to 2 parts sugar. And we'll give that a stir until it dissolves, and then we'll move on over to the bucket and get that mixed in. Sugar is all dissolved, so let's go ahead and pour it into the bucket. And we'll give this a really good stir, and then we'll taste it. We've got our wine thief. Put just a little bit into the wine glass. I really like the sweetness of just the 1 cup of sugar, even though it's a whole 5 gallons of wine. I thought it just lended the tiniest bit of sweetness, and all of that astringent kind of, taste on the tongue is just gone. And so I don't want it to be a dessert wine. I'm gonna leave it the way it is. So 1 cup of sugar, and I'm going to put that in my journal. I keep a winemaking journal, and it just tells me what I did in case something goes wrong and I never want to replicate it, or something went really, really good and I want to do it again someday. And also it just kind of keeps me grounded and reminds me just how long it takes to make a batch of wine. The last thing we need to do before we transfer the wine from the bucket into the carboy is add some stabilizers. The Camden tabs and the potassium sorbate is going to make sure that this batch of wine does not start the fermentation process up again. You want to use 5 Camden tabs for 5 gallons, so 1 tab per gallon of wine. And they do need to be crushed, so I just put in the tabs like right into a baggie. And they're not hard to crush, so I just use this. And there we go. And then you need a half a teaspoon per gallon of wine of the potassium sorbate. Now we'll add in our crushed Camden tabs. And the potassium sorbate. Then give that a good stir. Now it's time to get the wine out of the bucket and into the new clean Carboy. We will go ahead and grab that auto siphon again. Big end into the bucket, tube into the Carboy, and just like before, give it a couple quick pumps and it will start filling on its own. I don't have to hold it this time since there is no debris in the bottom of that bucket. We are in the home stretch, you guys. Last thing that we need to do is put on the airlock. This is super easy to install. Lots of different kinds to choose from, but this is the one I'm using today. So easy to do. And put that little guy on there. And I'm using Everclear for my airlock. You guys can use any kind of sanitized water, distilled water if you want to. But I just happen to have a bunch of Everclear that I don't need, so that's what I'm using. And fill it about halfway full, put the lid on it, and do keep an eye on it. You don't want your airlock to go dry, so make sure you're checking on it once a week or so. And then this is just gonna sit. It's gonna sit kind of in a cool, dark place for the next few months. Make sure you stay tuned to my channel. Lots of interesting things coming up. And yeah, I think I'm gonna get outside. It's been raining for a few days, but it's sunshiny now, so I'm gonna head on out and I will see you next time. Bye!